Hey everyone, this is Ismail here, and today I will demonstrate what I did with KubiGonic Toolset Blender add-on and what I created using these Blender add-on. So the assets you're currently seeing here is actually modeled realistically and then voxelized procedurally using the Blender tool I made. And you can see all of them here in here. Here are some of these bottles, the chess pieces, cactuses, some fruits like watermelons, pumpkins, potatoes, beetroots, apple, banana, cucumber, and etc. Then we have these trees. All of these trees are made solely using these add-on that I made. And then we have signs, which I think I have over 500 of them. All of these signs is available and is ready to use for any kind of purpose you want. You can find more of these assets at Sketchfab, which I will tag. I will put the Sketchfab link to the description. And these are the planet models that I made. And yeah. Also, we have this character here. Of course, it has clothing. Actually go characters models. I'm not sure where to find the clothing right now. But yeah, it has some clothings, of course. It is rigged for sure. For example, these legs, all of these legs, and it's actually utilizing the humanoid avatar, so it's actually like compatible with most of these animations in the asset store and Mixamo and other places like that. So yeah, let's actually check the character's blend shapes. As you can see, it can, like, the character has left and right eye blend shapes, eyelids up and down for both of them, and some mouth up, mouth down, happy, sad, all of these like facial events, eyebrow bending the eyebrow, and etc. And then we have the character's shader. As you can see, it's completely procedural, meaning that if I want to change the character's appearance, that I can do it easily. As you can see, like these skin colors, completely procedural. The hair color, of course, there isn't any hair in the character right now. The eyebrow color, lips color. Let's actually zoom into the lips. The iris color. Oops. The iris color, which is the back of the eye. The color of the pupil and the color of the sclera. You can see, yeah. And then for these kind of small objects, we have other shader, which is called B-color, detailed opaque. And as you can see, it has this smoothness value. Color 2 for the caps of these bottles, and the color 1 for the body of these bottles. And then we have the gradient type as voxel or smooth, so we can actually add our objects gradients using this shader. If you select it as voxel, you can see that you're able to play with these voxel frequency and gradient height to define the gradient. Otherwise, you can select the smooth gradient to have a smoother effect of gradient. You can change the gradient color to give some more effects, of course. But I like the Voxel gradient because it's more respectfully aesthetically looking for this art style. And then we have the very same for the chess pieces we have here. All of these cactuses and all of these items, all of them are procedurally textured, meaning that we can change anything, any color at any time. It supports URP and built-in render pipeline currently, but maybe I will add HDRP later. And as you can see, we have the KubiGonic BRP, detailed opaque, detailed transparent, simple opaque, which is currently I'm using on this one, simple transparent, character, customizable color, detailed opaque, detailed transparent, simple opaque, and simple transparent. And against all of these, we also have these master KubiGonic shader node, which I will come to it in a bit. So in the built-in render pipeline, if you select B color detailed opaque, you actually have the option to put some gradients on these assets as well. Let's set the voxel type to gradient type to voxel. Play with the height and decrease the amount of voxels, and maybe something like that, like this. Yes. Instead of black, let's add some more like something like this. Yes, yeah. Now this object has a little nice flavor on the object, so that's good. We have for these planets, we don't have a basic like one or simple color changes, but we have a customizable color shader for color space that you can make gamma or linear. You have the smoothness option. Then you have the hue, saturation, and value to get different visual effects for these items. It's actually very straightforward. And we also have the contrast value to get more contrasted colors. And yeah, this is these planets and how they will appear once they are utilizing the KubiGonic planet shader. But yeah, let's dive into creating our own voxelized assets using the Blender add-on I made. Let's actually put this to 000. So yeah, this file here, this object is actually linked into Blender right now. So whatever I put here and save is what I will get in Unity immediately. So let's actually create an icosphere and let's see the KubiGonic toolset on action. So you added your icosphere, that's perfect. And then you have the options here, mesh options, mesh detail options, vertex color debugging options, vertex color gradient options, vertex color modify options, set mark, and select mark operations. So marking is done truly utilizing the vertex colors alpha channels, and you can actually see here the shader node that I use for vertex colors alpha, that I select these masks and mark them as separate colors. Actually I have more shader functions here in maybe in KubiGonic core shaders. Yeah, I think the shader functions are somewhere else. Oops, not here. Let's actually find where they are. Vertex color alpha. KubiGonic core functions. Yes, there it is. So we have shader functions like contrast, hue, saturation, gradients like smooth gradient, voxel gradient, masking, which I just showed, that the vertex color alpha based mask, and utilities to yield RGBA into RGB. So yeah, and when you are marking 0, 1, 2, it's actually what you are selecting, what you're marking these objects here. For example, for the color one, you need to mark as 0, and for color 2, you need to mark as 0.1. That's actually how you are texturing these objects without not using any new texture. So yeah, it's actually done procedurally. So these are the marking options. Let's actually jump to the mesh options and demonstrate how it looks like. So when you create a new object and you want to convert it to a voxelized asset, you need to hit prepare mesh, then encapsulate boundaries, and then you need to hit voxelize mesh. When you do that, it actually voxelizes the mesh immediately using Blender's voxelization operators. But you have the option to detail it like low detail, mid detail, or high detail. Let's delete this one, add a UV sphere for a perfect sphere, prepare mesh, encapsulate boundaries, voxelize mesh, and set it to high detail, which is how I made these planets. Yes, let's set it back to low detail for the time being. And then, when you are fine with these assets, all you need to do to come these operators, modifiers here, and then hit apply to all of them to convert it into a mesh. Then we have the rebuild voxel mesh option. It actually adds the same modifiers again. Then you have the option to flatten the mesh surfaces, which is actually getting rid of these edges and is flattening the mesh. Yes, let's apply all of these materials, all of these modifiers, and hit prepare vertex colors, and then hit debug vertex colors to see the vertex color in the Blender. And then we have bottom to top gradient and radial gradient. The bottom to top gradient is actually very straightforward, that I made in Blender. It actually finds all of these vertices and is assigning colors to them. Radial gradient is actually doing just the same in a very different way. It's actually the same. Oops. Yes. Actually, these radial gradient works better on a on a like a surface like this, a flat surface that I can show you better. Let's add the radial gradient, radius to 1, and smoothness to something like this, and to reduce the radius, it will look something like this. Yes, and that's it. That's how top and bottom gradients are working. Then we have the voxelized colors that will actually applying a triangulated voxelizing effect that you can actually tell. And then you have the quantized colors, which is actually doing the same thing with the voxelized color, but doing it in another way. We have the option to contrast these vertex colors. blur vertex colors, which I can blur these vertex colors with some iterations. And then we have the option to convert the vertex colors to gradient, which is, say I paint something like this. I can immediately convert it to grayscale, having based on the luminance values. Yes. And then we have round to per face option, which will actually take the mesh and pixelize the face colors. Let's actually paint something on our own, and let's see how this will work. Yes, when I turn back to object mode, if I hit round to per face, as you can see, it pixelized and voxelized these colors, and it's good. Yeah, let's save this and turn back to Unity, where I will find my, actually delete the previous sphere and resave it again. Yes. So in Unity, you don't see these vertex colors by default, but if you create a new material and assign the master KubiGonic shader to these objects, you will actually get the effect immediately. And thanks to the shader I made, you have the options to select the color space. It can be linear or gamma. You can ask it to render both face or back faces, which doesn't work for the moment being, but it's actually doing the thing what it should be doing. And then you have the option for HSV. If you set it to yes, you can actually have the option to play with these hue, saturation, and values to get more procedural control effects. Let's actually disable it for the moment being and use HSV. And then we have the gradient options, which I already mentioned. And then we have detail texturing options, which is the best thing I like in these pipeline. Use detail texture has yes or no options, and the detail texture source can be fetched from a texture 2D array or a single texture. And the detail texture method could be like the triplanar or coming from UVs, and it can actually come from multiple UV channels, so wherever you put it, it can actually fetch it from there. But for the moment being, I will mark this as UV2, and I will ask Unity to create light maps for this so that it will generate some second light maps. UVs. As you can see, the object now has UV1 and UV2. Let's turn back to the detail texturing. The UV source is set to UV2 and detail texturing single texture. Now I need to assign some textures here. Coming back to KubiGonic core and textures, I have the option here for adding a noise. This is the noise texture that I will be applying on this surface, and it's actually applying it right now. I just need to increase the intensity and the tilling to get the effect. As you can see, we can immediately add more granular details to the pipeline using the detail texturing. How amazing it is. And this can be UV1 or UV2, doesn't really matter. And the triplanar actually works the same way. As you can see, it's an object-based triplanar. So yeah, you can actually add different kind of textures. Let's actually add some texture called carpet tilling. Let's actually do some very quick tricks. set the filter mode to point and resize it to 64 to maybe not 64 but 256. Let's reduce the tilling of the triplanar, and yeah, you actually get these nice little effect of the triplanar ratio, these voxelized effects. Yes, thanks for watching, and this is everything regarding to the KubiGonic shaders and KubiGonic art pipeline. Thanks.